If you are into retro games but also keep up with modern gaming, then you have probably heard about the controversy surrounding the character design in the new game Stellar Blade. The devs got accused of over-sexualizing and objectifying the female protagonist just because of her looks. That got me thinking, did we have similar cases back in the days on the beloved consoles of our childhood? Spoiler: hell yes. And some of them were straight up shocking. So today we are diving into the world of sexy female characters in NES, Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo games. And trust me, you will wanna stick around till the end because some of these Japanese devs, yep, Japan was the HQ for most of the pixelated booties. Actually, Stellar Blade is also a Japanese game, really let their imagination run wild on 16-bit consoles. For those who are new here, my name's Ivan and you are on the Flashback channel, so hands on the table, gentlemen, and enjoy the video. And please don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell. Let's go. Alright, let's start with our beloved NES, aka the Famicom in Japan. Nintendo was pretty strict about violence and revealing outfits in their games. And let's be real, making something that spicy on the 8-bit console wasn't easy. But still there is plenty to talk about. First on our list is an absolute classic, Metroid. It's a legendary action-adventure platformer where you play as a hero in a suit named Samus. And here is the thing. Samus isn't a dude, she's a woman. Depending on how fast you finish the game, she either stays in her suit, takes off her helmet, waves at you in leotard, or if you are really quick, shows up in bikini. The faster you finish, the less she wears. Interesting decision, huh? Next game is Kid Icarus. It had sirens with... let's call them noticeably big blue chests, at least in the game manual. They weren't as detailed in the actual game, so why even draw them like that in a game guide for a kids game? I don't know. Sometimes covers got the treatment too. For example, in Double Dragon 2. In Japanese version, the hero's girlfriend was rocking a see-through top, and let's just say you could see them. The US version wasn't having any of that, so they slapped a bright red paint job on it. Like, nope, you are too young for this, kids. When I was a kid, there were these multi-game cartridges mostly filled with simple games. One of them had a casino-like game called Sao Mali. Just some random fruit spinning around, no idea how it worked. But there was this curtain in the middle of the screen. And there was a legend that if you got the right combination, the curtain would rise, revealing a naked girl. I thought it was just one of these classic 19th myths, you know, the kind of stories older kids made up. But I was wrong, it was real. If you kept playing long enough, the girl would first appear in clothes, but after a few wins, it would be a bikini time. Then there is Golgo 13, the NES game from 1988 based on a famous manga and anime. At the end of one of the levels, the main character meets a girl, and after a short conversation, it's pretty clear they are not about to play Super Mario. In the Japanese version, told ya, these devs were wild. The girl actually undresses in the cutscene. I didn't expect to see that in the 8-bit game. Another NES title, Wild Ball, had the simplest but probably most effective game mechanic for young boys at the time. You played rock, paper, scissors, and if you won, the girl on screen took off a piece of clothing. And yes, you could finish the game with her fully undressed. Interesting gameplay, isn't it? By the way, all uncensored clips will be on my Patreon. YouTube ain't gonna like stuff like that, so link in description. Closing out the 8-bit section, we have to talk about the Battletoads Dark Queen. Every gamer from 19s knows this badass brunette in a latex suit. She looked just as stunning in the 1991 NES version as well as in the crossover with Double Dragon. Check out that outfit, thigh-high boots, heels and a deep-cut neckline. Absolute fire. And what about her updated version for 16-bit consoles? Even better. Battletoads Arcade in the 1994 had some, let's say, interesting art in the background. Remember how she looked in Battletoads 2020? Yeah, it's hard to compare them, I know. And speaking of 16-bit consoles, let's move on, because with better graphics, things got way spicier. Now let's kick things off with one of the most iconic SNES games, Final Fight 1. There is a stage where you fight two female enemies dressed like they just wrapped a 19 sex shop. Weird berets, crop tops, shorts, heels and handcuffs. Not super explicit, but definitely pushing it. Nintendo thought so too, and in the international version they were replaced with two dudes. Secret of Mana, another SNES classic, had a magic book enemy. If you hit it at the right moment, it would open to reveal a naked blonde. It's kinda wild when you remember this was a family-friendly RPG. Over in Final Fantasy VI, several female characters were censored in the US and European versions. The Siren got shorts, the goddess boss was given extra clothes, and another boss, Chodar Nook, got some mysterious mist covering her up. Meanwhile, Street Fighter didn't really care. Female characters, especially Kami, were rocking some interesting designs. Just look at her moves. Kinda surprising she didn't get extra clothes in the US release. But what about Sega with their Genesis console? Actually, Sega was on another level. Games on the Genesis, Mega Drive and Sega CD were hot as hell. I think everyone knows Blaze from Streets of Rage 2 or Bare Knuckle 2. In the Japanese version, if she did a jump kick, you could see her stockings and white underwear. What about the US version? They changed it to full leggings. Buzzkill. In the Sega Genesis game Stormlord, there was a fairy sitting in a jar. In the early versions, she was fully naked. Later releases covered her up. Mystic Defender from '89 was kinda mid-game for the Sega Genesis. But here's the fun part. One of the bosses appears with a completely naked girl sitting on the top of him, and after you defeat him, she even thanks you for saving her. But hold up, don't go rushing to eBay for this game. This was only in the first versions. In all later releases, she was already wearing a dress. Now let's talk about 3 games that really blew my mind. I never even thought stuff like this existed in 90s games. Divine Ceiling is a 16-bit shoot-'em-up game from '91, released only in Japan. You fly a spaceship blasting alien scum, seems pretty normal, right? But at the end of each level you get rewarded with pixelated anime girls posing completely naked. I honestly had no idea this kinda stuff existed on our beloved console. A similar thing happened in the Japanese game Dial Q, where you played Mahjong. Win a round? Boom! Another batch of naked anime girls for your viewing pleasure. And finally, in '95, game called Wild Woody was dropped for Sega CD. It's a 2D platformer about a goofy pencil. Now on the level 2, if you collect 5 treasures in the right order, go to a specific spot, open your sketchbook and select a mermaid. Guess what? The same mermaid appears, but this time completely topless. By the way, if you wanna check out that 16-bit spicy content, I've got it in my Patreon. And you know what is the craziest part? This shit was first documented in a Code and Secrets magazine in 2003, almost 10 years after the game's release. For a whole decade, no one even knew about this hidden erotic Easter egg. And it makes me wonder how much more of this kind of stuff is still hidden in retro games. Well, that's it for today. What do you guys think? Should I do similar video about PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64 games next? Please let me know in the comments. Thank you again for watching and see ya next time.